Hey, what's going on, comic fans? Mr. Q Comics again. Got a quick haul for you guys. Kind of some older books I picked up over the past few weeks. A few different shops that I've hit a couple times. And just wanted to share it with you guys. Haven't got around to putting it all together. So, like I said, it's a few small trips to a couple of different shops. So I'm just going to jump right into it. First group of books is from a shop I had never been to before in the state next to me, about an hour drive from me. I was at another show down there and decided to check this place out. So I went in. They had some wall books at this place, but I thought they were crazy expensive. So I just kind of hit up their current books they had on the shelf, and they did have some back issues, which I'll show shortly here. So first thing I grabbed, Middle West #1. I actually picked up 2 copies of that. This is a series I absolutely love. I had already had a copy of this, but my shop sold out, and after I read it, I decided just to hunt down a couple other #1s here. I think it's a really good series. People I talk to seem to really enjoy it, and some of these Image series definitely take off and stay pretty hot here. So I have a feeling this may be one of those books that keeps creeping up in value as time goes on. So that was all I grabbed for kind of modern books from this place. Their back issues were weird. They had like $3 books, and then they had boxes of $5 books. It wasn't like back issues in alphabetical order, all different prices. That was stuff that was all on the wall. So I can't remember exactly which bins these all came from, but I kind of put it together because you'd get a discount if you bought like 5 books, something like that. So I grabbed a copy of Secret Wars #2, which is in pretty beat up shape, but I just love all the Marvel 80 series, these little mini series, obviously with Secret Wars being top of the list, the Wolverine miniseries, the Punisher miniseries, and obviously there's a ton more. So if I can find Secret Wars cheap, I just grab the issues anytime they're in there. I think this was like $2. So and like I said, it's not in the best shape there. I think it's gonna tear on the bottom. But I love this cover. The McFarlane Spider-Man 90s run. This is issue 13, which is basically the same cover as issue #1, just with the black costume. I think in the storyline, he's fighting Morbius, and he's in the sewers, and he's going to bust out the black costume to kind of, swing the advantage his way. So I remember reading this one as a kid. I always loved this cover, and other people seem to like it as well. So it's always a great book to pick up for a couple bucks. I picked up a couple more back issues of Spectacular Spider-Man just for the run. Nothing, no keys or anything here. Issue #20. Issue #44. I don't think I had those. These books have been pretty hot, so I've been grabbing them as I find them with the Into the Spider-Verse movie. Spider-Man 2099. I can't remember what this one was. I think this was one of the more pricey books. It's a newsstand copy. It was probably like $6-7, something like that. And this one's actually in pretty decent shape. Probably VF plus, maybe a little better. I think there's a tiny little spine tick there. It's funny how these books go, because this was a nothing book until that movie and that end scene. So anyways, when I find them, I've been grabbing them to go with it. There was a copy of ASM 365, which I think was just $2. This one, not in the best of shape. I don't know about you guys, but I have a lot of trouble finding this book in super high grade. I see it all the time. I find it in a lot of shops, but I think it's because it's a thick book. There's so many and they're big spine ticks. I mean, these are like 1/4 to 1/2 inch ticks. There's at least 4 of them there. This one was only $2, so whatever, I grabbed it. But every copy I find has at least one, like down here, that's in a pretty bad spine tick. Really tough to find. I mean, I've gone through dozens of issues, and they all have them. So anyways, maybe at one point I'll find a real high grade one. But still, cool books to have. Also picked up the last 3 books from this shop. I mentioned Secret Wars, copy of issue #7, which is the first appearance of Spider-Woman #2, Julia Carpenter, I think. So this is the first full appearance, right? I think in the end of issue 6, there's like the very last panel. She's, silhouetted, hiding behind a rock, checking out the hero. So I grabbed 2 copies of these there. This one's in better shape. I think one was like 5, one was like 7. Just don't know what's going to happen with these books with all these spider characters. To me, it's worth it if you can find them cheap to kind of stockpile a few. I feel like I don't know what they're going for on eBay. I really haven't checked it out, but any of these kind of alternative Spider-Man characters, the modern, Into the Spider-Verse characters, I'm just grabbing them if I find them cheap and kind of sitting on them for now. So, and like I said, I love the Secret Wars series, so if I can have multiple copies of all of them, I certainly will. I did grab one book off the wall, which wasn't too bad. Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe, #2, which is the second print variant, so it's a black and white J. Scott Campbell variant. I dig the cover. Only reason I grabbed it, it was kind of pricey. It was like $15, which maybe that's a slight bit lower than I would have got on eBay, but I just don't see these floating around in my shops, so I don't like to spend a ton on modern age, variants and kind of get sucked into the big price tag on variant covers, but it wasn't too bad. And like I said, I like J. Scott Campbell, and I just have a hard time finding some of these covers. So when they're there, if the mood strikes and I'm not seeing any, better Silver Age stuff, I'll grab these. So it is a good copy, really cool cover, and yeah, pretty psyched to find that. All right, back to one of my more local shops. Nothing too spectacular from my first trip there. Like I said, I'm just kind of grabbing up some of, the alternative Spider-Man comics when I find them. So, Amazing Spider-Girl, #1. This is not her first appearance. I believe that's, I'm drawing a blank. I think there's a What If comic or something like that has the first appearance of Spider-Girl. And I honestly know nothing about this character. This is, character that came out after I got out of comics. I probably got out of comics in the early 90s, shortly after the Mark Bagley run started on Amazing Spider-Man. That's kind of when I got out of it, getting into my teen years, and comic book collecting was not definitely not cool back then. Like it definitely seems to have geek culture seems a lot more popular nowadays, which is cool. So anyways, I don't know anything about this character, but it was there. It was a few bucks, so I grabbed it. I've been grabbing some of the Spider-Verse books. Edge of the Spider-Verse, #4. Spider-Verse, #1. Spider-Verse, #2. And I think this must have been one of the tie-ins to that series. Spider-Verse Team Up, #3. Like I said, I didn't read the series at all when it came out. I don't think any of these are keys, but I've been kind of backfilling when I find them sitting in long boxes at shops. And if their cover price are less, I'll grab them. I did get a copy of Edge of Spider-Verse #2 before the holidays, but I flipped it already. My shop had it on the wall for so long and no one was snatching it up. It was the CGC 9.6, so I flipped it pretty quick and doubled up my money. Surprised no one bought it off his wall. I wish I bought it sooner because he had the price tag much lower before the movie came out. But anyways, a couple more books from that shop. Just some Amazing Spider-Man, my #1 title, and just filling in the run. Nothing special with these books, but I grab any ASM book when I can find it. This is probably the top series for me, and the one I would really love to just have the full run. And if I had to stop collecting comic books and get rid of everything, I would just hold on to my Amazing Spider-Man run. I mean, Spider-Man that's the book that got me into comics. That was the book I was obsessed with as a kid. That's the character I was always obsessed with. Everything revolved around him. So, I think a lot of people do the same thing. You just stick with that stuff that got you into it, that really got you loving comic books. And for me, it was definitely Spidey. So issue 407, 428, and 438. And these are all decent shape. I didn't even really look too much at the condition. Probably very fine into the near mint range. I wouldn't have bought them if they were thrash, but they're just kind of books. He always has a bunch of these, and if they're a few bucks or less, I'll buy them occasionally. Normally for the obscure modern ASM runs, I really wait till I find them in dollar bins and try and scoop them up then, or as part of collections I find. But I really have not been hunting down a lot of collections on Craigslist and stuff, just because I just don't have the room to take in hundreds and hundreds of books at a time. And oftentimes collections, you're getting thousands of books, and it can become very overwhelming. So, all right, last book From there, another copy of ASM 365, and this one's in better shape. And paid more than I wanted to with this. He wouldn't give me as much of a break as I wanted because it was pretty much right after the movie. I think it was like $15, which isn't terrible. But same thing. This one's not as bad. It's this one spine tick it has here, and again, it's pretty big. But I think it was better than the copy I had. So I grabbed it, not knowing if it's going to go any higher. I'm sure this book, if the second movie comes out, I'm sure it's gonna spike in value again, and who knows if I'll keep it or not. But still a cool book, and it's ASM, so multiple copies is not a bad thing. Okay, so next little batch here is some stuff from, I love to hit up consignment antique shops. So anything that has dealers in there, where it's just random stuff in the shops. This was a tiny one I hit, real small place by my office I work out of. And I happened to pop in there one day, never thought of checking this place out. And he had a tiny spinner rack with, less than 100 books. And this guy had everything priced at $2, no matter what it was. So a lot of the stuff I didn't know what it was, and my phone was not getting good reception. But I just kind of grabbed stuff, older stuff and what I at least knew. So I got a couple back issues of Fantastic Four. I got 176, which I think is like a minor key. I think it's like the reintroduction of Impossible Man. And 177, which looks like a Kirby cover, I think. Cool cover. Beat up, not in great shape. And I think this is a minor key. A couple characters I hadn't heard of either. So like I said, $2, Bronze Age stuff. There wasn't a ton of stuff there, so I just kind of figured I'd grab those. Godzilla number 15. Pretty decent shape. Nothing special. I'm not really a Godzilla fan, but there wasn't much to choose from, so. I have a few copies of this, I think, but Guardians of the Galaxy from 1990, issue number 1. I don't know if there's any first appearances or anything in this book. This is obviously not the current iteration of Guardians of the Galaxy, but this seems to go for a few bucks on eBay. So again, when I find some of these things cheap, I just, the way I hunt for books, I'm not just looking for specific things. I'm looking for what valuable issues I'm going to get cheap, and hopefully I can, flip those into something I really want. The problem is, when I get things I don't have, I don't really like to get rid of them. So that's a bit of a problem. I've got to learn my lesson of actually, getting rid of the stuff, because buying it's the fun part, right? Hunting for it and buying it, definitely more fun than going through the task of selling it. But picked up a copy of Captain America 337, which is the first appearance of the Captain, and I think I saw something on the Key Collector comic app about this costume. I think another Captain America related character dons this costume, the Guardian or something like that, and I think it's going to be popping up in some show. I saw some footnote on Key Collector. I didn't dig into it too much, but definitely check it out. It's a couple bucks, minor key issue right now, but who knows what's going to happen with it. This I didn't have, which I was psyched to find. Justice League of America, number 31, DC from '89. This is an early Adam Hughes cover. I love Adam Hughes, and these Justice League of America books, he did a run. I don't remember. It's something in the 15 to 20 issue, run on this title. I think this is his first work on this series. I don't think it's his first work at DC, but first work on this series. And I find these all the time on the cheap, dollar bin books. So they're really easy to find. And if you love Adam Hughes, a lot of his earlier work you can easily find in dollar bins. So it's one of the things I love hunting for. I love hunting for early Adam Hughes, early McFarlane, early J. Scott Campbell, the artists I love. So definitely a cool book. Now this, Wolverine 131, I think I had this, but I had seen something, probably on the Key Collector Comics. This one is, it does have an error in it. In one of the panels, I think Sabretooth drops a racial slur, which I'm not going to repeat, but it was a recalled issue. I didn't know what the error was while I was at the shop, but I knew this book had the error. So I grabbed it anyways, just in case, and I got home and it is, in fact, the error version. Don't know what it sells for, but like I said, this is definitely one of the books, guys, you want to open up when you're in the shop and look for it, check it out online, and you can see what the error is. But it's a recalled one, so I don't know how many are actually out in circulation, but it sells for quite a bit more, to my knowledge. All right, we got a copy of Star Wars #9, the original run. It's in decent shape. I had this book. I don't think I had this version. So this is, I think this is out of the Whitman 3-packs. So I think the reprints of Star Wars only went up to issue number 6, I want to say. Now, normally the Black Diamond would signify the reprints. This does not have, this has got the blank white box. But like I said, I think reprints only went up to issue number 6. So I think this indicates that it came out of a Whitman 3-pack. I could be wrong, guys. There's a lot of different variations of these early Star Wars books. I have most of the run already, but same thing. I will always, if I find these early Star Wars issues in decent shape for a couple bucks, I am definitely going to take them and at least see if it's an upgrade for, you know, the copy I have. And I love Star Wars. Who doesn't? So I certainly don't mind having duplicates. And there's a lot of different variations of the early prints, the direct, the newsstand, the Whitman 3-packs, the reprints. So I kind of like to have all the different variations to complete the run. So, oh, I can't get it there. All right, last book I got from that shop. Again, $2. This was definitely the find of that trip to the store, I would say. Web of Spider-Man, number 118. This is the first appearance of the Scarlet Spider. Never had this before. I think this goes for around probably $20 online. I could be wrong. It's not in the best shape. It's got some sort of smudge, fingerprint over here, a few spine ticks. I would say it's somewhere in the maybe fine, very fine. I don't know. But for me, I didn't have a copy. Spider-Man key issue for a couple bucks. I'm going to take it every time. I would have picked this up even if it was thrashed just to get it in my collection. So that was definitely a find I was psyched about. So definitely best book from that shop. Made the trip worth it for sure. Okay, back to one of my other local shops. Just some more Spider-Man books I had already got that I was reading. Spider-Again #0, which is the first appearance of the PlayStation Spider-Man. So I grabbed another copy of that. I grabbed another copy of Edge of Spider-Geddon #2, which I think is the first Mech Venom and whoever the driver, pilot is, whatever. So again, first appearances for some of these alternative Spider-Man, so definitely going to pick those up. Minor keys here, New Avengers #4, which I think is the first Maria Hill. It's a cool David Finch cover. My shop had a couple copies and they were a couple bucks, so I grabbed 2 of those. And this was the book I was digging for in their New Avengers run, or one of the books. New Avengers #27. Now these were a little pricier. I can't remember. I got 2 of them. I think he had 3, but one was really scuffed up, and he knew what it was. But I think he gave me like, I can't even remember. I think if I bought both of them, he gave it to me like $6 or $8 each, something like that. So I was looking for the first appearance of Ronin. I can't remember which issue it is, but because that had been hot. This one's definitely been hot too. He didn't have that in the box, but he did have these, so I was psyched to find them. So, and I thought it was a decent price. And last book from that shop with the Captain Marvel movie. First appearance of Carol Danvers as Binary. This is Uncanny X-Men 164, a newsstand copy. I think this was less than $10. It's probably in the fine range, mid-grade. Another book I have, but you know, some of these small keys definitely worth picking up, and I will probably, I'll definitely be selling this one. So, okay, now getting into more of the fun stuff for me. Anyways, I mentioned I love, you know, consignment shops. So let's see. I hit up a local antique store. One particular dealer that's just always reasonably priced, and I think in this case he actually had a 30% off sale. So he had some good Silver Age stuff in there. I am not a Superman guy. I am not an Action Comics fan, but it was a few dollars, so I grabbed it. My general rule of thumb is if I can find Silver Age superhero titles, you know, a Silver Age copy, if it's $5 or less, I'm probably going to pick it up. And this is probably in VG shape. It's not bad at all. I have this one, but another copy, Captain Marvel number 3. Again, it was a few bucks, so I grabbed it. Now, I never had this as a kid, and he had it there, Youngblood number 1. Don't know how I never ended up buying this when I was collecting comics, but I didn't. And I always see this book priced way beyond what I want to pay. I don't know why it is, but I think this was like $2, and it's a good copy, so I figured I'd finally pick it up. So, got Invaders number 28, which again I think is a minor key. First appearance of the Kid Commandos. I really don't even know who any of these characters are other than Bucky, but it was a few bucks. It wasn't pricey at all, so I grabbed it. The Man-Thing, I think this is the first volume. This is issue number 3. It's the first appearance of Fool Killer. Not in the best of shape. Right, VG, fine range, but cool cover. I'm not a huge Man-Thing fan, but I've definitely been digging this kind of Bronze Age horror kind of genre, you know, the more kind of spooky, creepy titles, and I've been digging the artwork a lot, so definitely cool books. The Neil Adams cover, Detective Comics number 413. This was a nice upgrade for me. It's still not in the best of shape, but the copy I had was really beat up, and this was not bad. I think everything I got here was, you know, between, you know, all of these Bronze Age, Silver Age books were probably between $3 to $7, something like that. So it was definitely worth picking up for me. Copy of giant-sized Doctor Strange. I've definitely been getting way more into Doctor Strange as I've gotten back into books. And for some reason, I just started getting into these giant-sized titles as I find them. They always seem to be pretty inexpensive, with the exception of giant-sized X-Men, of course. So I grabbed that. He had some Spidey. So giant-sized Spider-Man number 5 with the Man-Thing. And he had giant-sized Spider-Man number 6 with the Human Torch. Both pretty beat up, but they were cheap. This was cool to find. Again, this is really beat up. It's low grade, but Marvel Team Up number 3. I think this is the 3rd full appearance of Morbius, right? Because I think his first 2 were 101 and 102 of ASM. So, yeah, it's really beat up. It's probably in the good range. It's got some staining and stuff like that. But, yeah, it was cheap again, so good book to get. This one I absolutely loved. Swamp Thing number 9. This is a Bernie Wrightson cover. I just really been digging the art on this Bronze Age stuff I'm finding from DC and Marvel. Totally new genre for me, getting into it. The horror, this kind of occult stuff. And the art is just amazing. Some of these Bronze Age artists from DC, and I just thought that cover was sick. So, all right, getting towards the end here. Let's see. Let's start there. This is at one of my it's a local shop, but they have a couple locations, so this is the one that was a little further out. It's Batman 442. I think this was out of their dollar bin. It's not in the best of shape, but this is, I want to see, oh geez, what is it? Is it the first Tim Drake in the Robin costume? I think that's what it is. Yeah, first Tim Drake in the Robin costume. So it was $1. I'll pick that up every time I find it. This was a few bucks. I'd been wanting another copy of it. It's one of those early cameo appearances of Venom. It's in decent shape. It was a newsstand copy. I think it was $3 or $4. So this is one I always dig in dollar bins for. Usually that's where I find Web of Spider-Man. But, you know, whatever. A few bucks. It was worth it. So now these I was psyched to get at the shop because I always see these priced really quite a bit. And always, often on the wall of shops when I go in there. Spider-Man number 1, the McFarlane run. It's in the poly bag. This is a newsstand copy. I never got this one as a kid either. I don't know why it's always priced so high. I usually say like $20, $25, which I just think is way out of whack for a book printed this high. But he had it for $5. So for me, it was like, all right, I haven't found it any cheaper than that in the past, so I'm going to go ahead and pick it up. And he also had the gold variant, not the UPC. I think the UPC version goes for a lot, like 100 plus. But I was psyched to find it. Again, it was $5, and they're both in great shape. So really glad to add those to my McFarlane collection. Couple more Spider-Man books here. This is Amazing Spider-Man, number 10 from Volume 3. So this is the first appearance of Spider-Punk. This is back at my LCS where he just had a long box full of this series. He's had it sitting there for years. Just no one goes through it. I think all the... who was the first appearance of Silk in issue 4? I think those have been picked out long ago. But he must have had 12 of these. So I went through. I didn't want to grab all of them. Usually that's a dead giveaway if they're books that are just sitting there unpriced and you come up with a stack of 10. So I grabbed 3. And of course, once I had 3, that tipped him off anyways. And he started looking it up, and I told him what it was. He was cool. I said, you get like 12 of them back there. So he let me have them for cover price since I alerted him to what it was. But yeah, he had like a run of 12. And I don't know what this is going for right now. But again, one of these Spider-Man characters, and who knows what's going to happen with the movie. So for me, a few copies of those in good shape is definitely a good buy. This he had, and I've been eyeing it. He's had it sitting there forever, and I just, look at it almost every time I'm there and just haven't wanted to spring for it. But the day I went in, I wasn't spending a ton, so I grabbed it. I think it was like $12. It's the giant size Spider-Man number 1 with Dracula. I think it's an awesome cover. So I think I've got most of these now, the giant size Spider-Man. I think it goes up to issue number 6. And this shop is so weird because he'll have the same books in his bins, and he's got a very weird, he's kind of got these roll-out carts. And he groups it by the character, right? So you're going to find Spider-Man all in one cart, X-Men, etc. So occasionally, though, what he does is he'll buy a single book from someone and he'll just sneak it in there. So you got to like go through it all the time. And every so often, there's like a random Silver Age in there. So I went through his X-Men stuff, and he just had in a copy of King Size Special number 1, which I don't think is a key or anything, but early X-Men, and again, it was $12. So yeah, I grabbed that. That's cool. And these are some, nothing major, but I was playing around with the Key Collector app, looking for kind of minor keys, and this was at one of my shops, Detective 546. I forget who this is. First appearance of Onyx, some character. And 549, which I think is just an Alan Moore story on this book. That's still cool. I've been trying to fill out my Batman, Bronze Age and Copper Age stuff, Batman and Detective, and probably go back and actually read some of those at some point. So, all right, now to some of the kind of better books from these runs. Got Marvel Premiere 57, which is the first U.S. appearance, U.S. comic appearance of Doctor Who. This is in great shape. This is going to be in the near mint range. It was just in the wall at one of my shops, priced pretty reasonably. I think it was less than $10, so I grabbed it. Like I said, I'm not a Doctor Who fan. I do dig the cover. The yellow's gorgeous. And like I said, if I'm going to find keys cheap, I'm definitely gonna pick them up. So this one I had been looking for. This is the first appearance of Conan in the Marvel Universe or the Marvel continuity. It's What If Conan Walked the Earth Today. What If number 13. He had 2 copies, and I'm kind of kicking myself that I didn't get the second one. The second one had like a hole punched through the cover and some pages. But looking back, I think this was less than $10 too. I can't remember. It was cheap. I wish I grabbed both of them, but I'm glad I found one. Anyway, someone else snatched up the other one. I went back looking for it. So I got Tales of Suspense 97. This is the first appearance of Whiplash. This is in decent shape. This is probably mid-grade. I just love Marvel Silver Age stuff. I kind of got rid of a lot of my Tales to Astonish and Tales of Suspense. I had a lot of lower grade books that I got rid of, but I will cherry pick the key issues, the first appearances, especially Silver Age stuff. I love buying the Marvel Silver Age. It's fantastic. So All right, and last but not least, Thor 165, first appearance of him, I think before he becomes Warlock, first full appearance anyways. This is a beat up copy. My LCS just had it on the wall. I have a copy that I got actually quite a bit cheaper that's in better shape. But, you know, I think these books all revolving around Warlock seem to be just crazy hot. There's so many keys tied to this character as well. So it was up there in price, but I thought it was pretty reasonable. I initially bought it thinking I was going to flip it right away, but I think I'm going to sit on it for a bit, not knowing what's going to happen with the MCU. It seems like they're getting more into a lot of this cosmic stuff, and I can definitely see with the Fantastic Four, you know, coming back. You know, there's just a lot of hype around the Silver Surfer, Galactus, Warlock, all of those types of characters. So definitely a great book to find. Psyched I got another copy. Surprised it was up on the wall. It was there. He must have just put it out if it wasn't gone for the price he had in that. So anyways, that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you do like the videos, please like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. I will be putting more videos up here shortly. So I wish you guys happy hunting, and I will talk to you all soon.